There we go. Have you ever wondered what was out there in the night sky? Stared up at the stars in the hopes of seeing something out of the ordinary? Have you ever heard unexplainable noises coming from a vacant room, or watched a shadow cross the wall in front of you? Have you asked yourself if there's life after this one, or if you had life before? What about strange creatures that are mythical and elusive? Have you experienced deja vu, or felt a prompting to leave because you felt you were in danger? What if tomorrow you were on the fringe? Welcome to another episode of What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. I'm Philip.
I'm Mark.
Does that seem kind of loud to you?
A little bit.
Okay, let me come down a little bit. I should have got this done. Anyway, man, tonight we've got an awesome show lined up. We've been talking to our guest now for a couple of weeks. She is a spiritual healer, psychologist. She teaches yoga. She has a show on Iconic. It's a network founded by David Icke. I just want everybody to welcome Carrie-Anne Fields. Welcome, Carrie.
Hello, thanks for having me on. Good men, Great to see the work that you're doing.
Oh, great, I appreciate it.
We're glad to have you.
Now, Carrie's coming at us from the future. She's coming from tomorrow for us, and but no. Before we got on, I wanted to let you know I love Australia. I spent about 3 months down there. It was about 20 years ago. Just kind of aged myself, but I loved it down there. It was great. I spent some time down around Catherine. I don't know if you're familiar with Catherine.
I haven't been there myself, but yeah, I know where you mean. Nice and warm for you there, Philip.
Yes. It's about 3 hours south of Darwin, and very sparse, I should say. But man, the people were amazing, great people, and I truly loved it. I mean, of all the places I've been, that was probably my favorite, just the people. I mean, there's a lot of ranches. It reminded me of home. You know, we're
very similar to the US. Yeah, the culture and the way we live with the big farms, and people are very friendly, easygoing. Just a lot less of us than you guys, I guess.
Right, I think so. Well, it was crazy because Catherine was, I don't know, maybe 1,500, maybe 2,000 people, a little bitty town.
Yeah.
And it was the second largest town in the Northern Territory. It was crazy.
Yeah, we're very, very spread out. I mean, people, like anywhere, I guess, do congregate in the cities, but you go to those outback areas and it's just one big community, and people really look out for each other. It's that great Aussie spirit, as we say. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I was in the military down there, and we met this old man. I never got his name. And it was a story I'd love to tell. You know, we're trading old military stories and stuff like that. And well, some friends of mine wound up going into town because we were on the what was it, Tyndall, Royal Air Force Base Tyndall. And for some reason, we woke up early on a Friday. You know, early for us was like noon because we worked night shift. And so we wound up going in town and grabbing some lunch because there's only two restaurants in town. So we wound up going to this bar we hung out at. It was just us, and there was this old man sitting at the table. And, so we're sitting there just talking, just shooting the bull, and this old man's like, hey, Yanks, you know. I love your all slang down there. It's great. And we walk over and say, yes, sir, can we help you? You know, he said, you guys military? I said, yeah, we're military. He said, sit down. And this guy, I mean, he was old. I mean, that's the only way I can describe him. I'm not trying to be rude, anything like that. And we just got to talking, and wound up, he was a World War II veteran. And he said, yeah, I fought alongside you guys in the Battle of Philippine Sea. And I mean, we were there for hours. And this man wouldn't let us buy a drink. at all. And he had us so drunk by the time our buddies off day shift got into town. It was time to go home. It was good times.
They can put it away, those outback
yeah.
Australians. Yeah. Not sure where
Definitely.
they stand up at the end of it and they seem to be walking straight. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I loved it. I'd love to go back. I'd love to take my wife down there and just go back and see it.
Yeah, beautiful.
So
It's
it is.
magical territory. Did you go to Uluru?
No.
To the Israel? No.
No,
Maybe
we
next
didn't
time.
make
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to make it down there. I mean, we did go to Darwin for a weekend. You know, kind of hung out up there, hung out on the beaches, and saw the sights and stuff around there. The Kakadu was amazing.
Oh.
I'm sorry if I sound a little hoarse. I've been fighting a head cold, so. But yeah, no, I loved it down there. But anyway, real quick, y'all, if you're listening, tuning in, whatever, watching, feel free to join the chat. You know, if you join the chat, give StreamYard permission to, on your comments, give them permission so we know who's talking to us. And we'll post. We love the interaction. I mean, Carrie, we're brand new to this whole streaming thing because I've had really bad internet until I got Starlink. So we're still new to this and trying to get everything figured out. But yeah, you know, if you want to join the conversation, jump right in and we'll interact with you and have a good time. Do us a favor, go check us out at whatiftomorrowmedia.com. It's our website. It's got all of our affiliates on there. There's EMP Shield, there's My Patriot Supply, Duke Cannon, and Conflicted the Game. Conflicted the Game we played last week, wasn't it, Mark? Yeah, with Will.
Last week or the week before, maybe?
Yeah. So go check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's a game that really makes a card game. It really makes you seriously think about your morals, your values, and what you would be willing to do. So go support us there. Even on the website, we have our merch there. And if there's something on there that there's something not on there that you would like to see, let us know. We'll get it put up there. Let's see. We got a couple comments. Hey, Pam, glad you made it. My wife's there, says hi to everybody. And there's Pam. No meeting tonight, Pam. She was in a meeting the other night trying to sneak and watch the show. But yeah, anyway, what drew me to you, Carrie? I was on Frank Jacobs' page, and if y'all caught the podcast, hey Chris, if y'all caught the podcast early on when we rebooted, we had Frank Jacob on, and I've kind of been following on Facebook and things, and when CERN fired up, was it July 5th? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was kind of going through the comments, and I saw Carrie had talked about going into the astral plane. Correct me if my terminology is wrong. I'm really ignorant when it comes to this.
No, that's perfect.
But going into the astral plane with a group of people to try to stop CERN from opening another dimension. And she had made the comment that it wasn't just her group. There were many other groups there. So, Carrie, can you tell us what that was like?
Definitely. Yeah. And look, if people have not done any kind of meditation at all, then this is going to seem like a very far out type of chat. But so I just ask everyone to remain open to it. And as a little bit of background information, we have to look at the concept of multidimensionality. So everyone generically will say that we know we're in the third dimension. For some reason, it's in our language. It's a concept that we're familiar with. So people do know about dimensions of consciousness. So we have to look at 3D, where we're operating as a human in this form of matter. And then the astral plane, as you perfectly said, that resides in the fourth dimension. So that is an energy overlay of the third dimension. And people may have come across the term egregore before. Egregore means that it's the energy that we create via our thought forms, our frequency, our vibration, how we act, just our attitudes, really. We could say that countries and cultures have their own egregore that overlays, certain towns, certain cities, and so on and so forth. So if there's a lot of negativity in a certain group or city or area, then it creates a negative egregore, or it can create something that's very positive. So it's a good way to understand what happens in the fourth dimension as an energy realm that overlays the third dimension. And the other way to understand the astral plane, of course, is when you dream. So everyone can definitely tune into what that looks like. It doesn't work in linear time. It works in an cryptic or energetic sense. So when you dream, you think, well, that didn't make a lot of sense, but maybe got a message out of it. Or sometimes dreams are more lucid. You felt like you weren't actually asleep. You were awake within that dream, vivid dreaming, this sort of thing. So we know that the astral plane is absolutely real from, in that sense. That when we go into it in the dream state. So when you astral travel, you learn to go into the dream state. I say that in inverted commas, but whilst you're awake. So it's a set kind of procedure that you go through. And as you get more proficient at it, it becomes very real to you. And you can see other people there in the astral plane as well. So same as what you guys might dream about your mother. She was there with you in the astral plane, but of course she was sleeping somewhere else, at the time that you had the dream. And that's how it works. So we're multidimensional. Our consciousness can reside in different dimensions all at the same time. I think that's the interesting one. It all happens in simultaneous time. So for me, I've been teaching meditation and teaching people to be meditation teachers or yoga teachers for over 20 years. So it's something I'm really well versed in, and I got more into astral travel in 2020 when we were undergoing so much tyranny and treachery on the planet. It was like, okay, who's running the show? We know that the governments went rogue, and we found out about the concepts of, Illuminati and these sort of things. Hope I can say this on your channel.
Yeah, go for it.
You're fitting right in.
Yeah.
Nice. So, and then, you find out about I'm just going to say it in a basic sense, and people have got different words for this, but you find out about archons. Archons are like the dark masters that rule, the puppets. The governments are like puppets, really, and the elite, the Kabbalah, like, they sit as an intermediary between them and then like dark masters who feed off our loosh. And loosh is like this, it's all our low vibrations, which they really conjured up in 2020, didn't they? Like, we're all lost on what the is going on the planet. We need to sort this out. Hence, as I say, you good men stepping up and doing shows like this. It's, major applause to you. It's so awesome. And that's what you can work on in the astral. You can go into those realms and you can work on the energetic side of it, who these dark masters are, and start converting some of their negativity and their intentions for controlling us and siphoning us as humans. You can start to work the energetics that way. So for me, I've been in an astral travel group, like a proper mission group, for quite some time, and these are some of the best on the planet, when it comes to their mystic psychic powers. But it's specifically, this group is for combat, which is a little bit different from other astral groups. A lot of other astral groups will work in building like the love grids and these sorts of things, both on the planet but also in the astral. So this one is for combat, and I never thought I'd be involved in these kind of missions because I'm more the love light type. But it's been amazing to get involved and use my psychic powers, because you need to have a very open third eye to be able to see and perceive what's going on in the energy realm. So I can help out. I'm mostly with other guys. There are some women that come in sometimes, but I'm mostly with other, proper astral warriors that, very, very experienced. Our captain, for instance, has been doing it for 15 years and just hours and hours and hours and hours of time in the astral. He's got his own, his name's Alabar Jones, and he's got his own channel as well, where he does, you guys will be interested in this, he does weekly reports on what we did in our astral groups, and it's, it's pretty wild stuff. So the CERN one seemed very, very pertinent for us to go in and make sure that we, sussed out what was happening, see where we could look at dismantling some of this, demon technology. And we definitely could perceive, because it was such a big event that was happening on the planet, we could perceive that there were other astral groups as well that were there. There were, amazing, particularly one amazing group of girls actually that were there, that we saw them acting like ninjas and getting into the actual Hadron Collider and dismantling it. So for anyone listening, remember, we're talking in the energy realm. Energy has to overlay the 3D. That's how we create 3D reality, through energy. So people who know about manifestation, you think and you visualize and you create reality. So it works exactly the same. It's everything is pre-matter first before it comes into matter. So we have to know that. This is how astral travel works. So we actually had a researcher with us. He was an amazing guy from Malaysia who was tracking actually in real time what was going on with the Hadron Collider. So they started to gear this Hadron Collider up, and it reached about 85%. And then as we were working within the astral to dismantle it, it went down to 35%. They couldn't get the spin moving enough to fire up their pistons, I guess, or it was almost like they were using light beam technology. They were trying to converge like beams of light to create this. What we saw, they were wanting to create a portal. Now, there's portals that are on the planet anyway. We have stargates or portals that, where these dark forces and also light forces can come in. It's not just dark forces. Light and dark, like the Earth plane, exist in the astral. So their specific intention, though, for CERN was to open a portal to let in more negative energy, or let in darker energy, demonic energy. So they're not nice people at all. It's possibly, almost the worst of the worst that goes on the planet when they're working with the space-time continuum and wanting to open into, these darker frequencies, and how that would impact the Earth. Good humans will never understand why these people do what they do, but we've had enough evidence of it, I guess, in the last 2.5 years, even though it's been going on a lot longer. But I think it's been right in our face, guys. Would you say? It's been in our face what this darkness is about.
I do. And I think it's telling that they have a big statue of Shiva the Destroyer out front. I mean, that's kind of an odd choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fascinating what goes on, but we certainly had some great success, and I have to say thank you to the other astral groups who were there as well, because this Hadron Collider certainly did not fire up. So yeah, it's probably they're going to bounce back at some point and try it on again. But for us with the Astral Mission Group, what's been the most fascinating for me, as opposed to doing solo astral missions previously, where sometimes you think, okay, I'm a tripper, like I'm a full tripper, maybe I made that up. Whereas when you're with an astral group, you all see the same thing at the same time. So you think, how is that actually possible? How is it, we're psychically engaged here and we're all actually mapping out exactly the same experience? And then what we've found, not just with CERN, but with many, many other astral missions, is that the next day or the following days or following weeks, we'll get confirmation of the work that we did. And that's what is mind-blowing when it comes to this kind of work. For instance, we went in with the Queen in the UK. We went in with her Jubilee, because we knew that what they were doing with her Jubilee celebrations over the weekend was to get everyone into a mass satanic ritual. That's what they do, these people. And so that's how they get the loosh, or the dark, the energy feed that they thrive on. So we went in there and foiled her plans, and literally the next day, within hours, she came out. There was a news release that she wasn't attending the Jubilee that day because she felt off. And we specifically went and worked on her because we knew that, we can't have all this energy being fed into that very demonic structure, which is the which is the monarchy there. So
Right.
they're some of the worst on the planet. Those people, in terms of how they siphon energy, how they interfere with children. Like, they're just the worst of the worst. So, this is the kind of work that we do. Go after the big guns, because we've had enough. We've got to do something. So yeah,
Right.
It's been fascinating just to see the results that come in the next few days within the third dimension of what we've done in the fourth dimension. So it's, even for me, after 20 odd years of doing meditation and astral work, even for me, it's been such a revelation that this really actually is making an impact. And so I would encourage anyone who's interested in this type of thing to look at learning how to astral travel. It's not that difficult. If you're used to meditation, you'll certainly be able to astral travel, and go in there and just see what you can do, just to support the divine light team, who are wanting to pull humans out of this prison planet that we find ourselves in.
It's odd. I hear people say that, and I can't remember the name of the book. And Mark and I, we've been doing this. We're a couple of weeks from 2 years from when we started the podcast. We kind of started off just to have a fun hobby. It was something new. I mean, kind of, because we had these conversations at work. He and I worked together, just kind of leaning on the toolbox, talking about things like this, weird things. We talk about like preparedness things and all that. So we was like, let's just do a podcast on this. Let's roll with it. But personally, I mean, I know Mark as well, but personally, I've been on this journey since it started. Not intentional. It just happens. But I've been on this journey at looking at everything. And I mean, we don't do a tremendous amount of research. I mean, just go back and listen to some of our shows and you can hear some of it. But we don't. We do pretty much just enough to have the conversation. Maybe pique somebody's interest and let them go out on their own and look for it. And we encourage people to go do their own research. And if we're wrong about something, tell us. I mean, we're all in this to learn. But the more that we go down this road, the more commonalities I see between all these different subjects.
Absolutely.
It's just been crazy how everything seems to be connected. But what I'm trying to get to is, unfortunately, the first show we did when we started back up, because we took right about a 6-month hiatus in shows, and we were working so much overtime. We both had COVID. I lost my brother. It's just been a rough 6 months. So we just kind of laid off of it. And then the first show back, we have a guy that's followed us from the get-go, and he jumped on with us. We invited him. I mean, just to get on and kind of hang out with us, And unfortunately, he disappeared the next day, and they found him dead a couple of days later. So it was a sad deal, but he'd always recommend little books and things for us to read. And I don't remember the name of it, but it was about Roswell and the beings that were found in Roswell. This story was it was about the only nurse that could actually interview one of the
sitting right
survivors.
next to my chair in the other room.
What's that?
It's sitting next to my chair in the other room. I cannot remember the title of it.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
If you're watching this, look at the book next to my chair. It's yellow, and that's what the name is.
But it's kind of the I mean, they wound up being more like puppets. What they're saying, these beings and these aliens, entities, or whatever, were supposedly set up in the asteroid belt and controlling these through remote control, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing you talk about this stuff and the evil and all that. I mean, I can see it all. It's all like coming together in my head. I don't know if I can explain it very well.
Mm-hmm.
It also
I'm
sorry?
The remote control aspect of it that you're mentioning is actually very real. We're looking at dark side technology that for the everyday person, they're going to negate it. They're going to say, "Oh, there's no way that could exist." I think the cognitive dissonance also comes in because people don't perceive just how evil some of these forces are, like what they're attempting to do. And I tend to see it like we pen cattle. We pen and tag and chip cattle and control them. And we don't perceive that there's anything wrong with them. We eat them. I mean, I don't, but a lot of people do. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong for anyone. I'm just more putting it into an example of how we treat animals. So if we know that we're capable of doing that and we don't think twice about it, then we have to also accept that we are cattle to these entities. We're talking non-humans. We're talking many non-human races that wish to take on the technology. Humans have the highest technology of anyone in the galaxy. Like, we've been through to even become a human is a rare gem. We've been through all the incarnational cycles. We've had different experiences, whether that be as light beings or on other planetary systems. We've probably, who can exactly say, but we've probably been a tree and a rock and embodied those frequencies until we've built up consciousness and our own personal technology to become human. So humans are very, very targeted. And what's fascinating about humans, particularly with what we've been going through the past galactic cycle, is that we've been dumbed down a lot. We've had our genetics interfered with. We've had our 12 strands of DNA knocked back to 2 strands of DNA. So our operating system as a technology being is very, very minimal. And it's like, likening it to, if you haven't updated your computer or your device, it's only operating out of certain functions. We have the ability as humans to really shift back up into those 12 strands of DNA operating, coming back online. That's what we're going through as we come out of this galactic cycle and we move, many people are talking about ascension and these sort of concepts at the moment. So we're upgrading consciousness. But when we know that, why we're highly sought after, then it makes sense that, of course, we're treated just like cattle. We're penned and this is what this whole thing with the inoculation has been about, wanting to get the chip into us so it interacts with, I'm going to be mindful on your channel not to say certain could create censorship. I've been censored just myself, both on Facebook and YouTube recently, so I know what that's about. But frequency towers that they're building that ping off the the chip in the body. So we have to be aware that these things are afoot. It's not going to happen. It has happened. And people need to get on board if they haven't already. Probably everyone listening to your show is very, very well versed in all of this. But if they're not, be aware that these entities do not have your best interests at heart. So we have to find a way to go up against them. And I know that some people can, but most people can't go up against them in terms of the third dimension. You're not going to be able to do what it takes to go up against them in government. I mean, who wants to be part of a government anyway? Right. But how do we target these people as a counter to what they're doing to us? So this is why once you get very attuned to how energy works, because we are ultimately an energy being, and Nikola Tesla taught us that we are frequency, vibration, and energy. That's actually who we are, and so we've got to work at those levels to change the reality. This is a hologram that we're living in. It's almost like a simulation, like it's a video game that we're an avatar character within. But to change collective reality, it requires our emotional body or our thought forms to swing in a certain direction. So the darksiders know this. So they swing our thoughts and our emotions into negativity. And so we create more negativity. So we have to, at the same time, be aware of their agenda, but not get sucked into doom and gloom. We have to go, cool, I see the characters in the game. I see what you're up to. In my world, I take charge of it. I say, I even created you. I came into this third dimensional reality to have this experience. I even created the dark side, so I would activate to the light side. I'd activate my powers and bring ourselves, bring us all into the light. That's what we're here to do. That's how it works. It's yin and yang. It's light and dark. It's night and day. They work together as one to create evolution. So we don't want to give more of our fear and our doom and our angst to these darksiders. We just say, okay, I see what you're doing. And the best thing to do for anyone is just to say out loud, right now or after this show, I do not consent to any black magic. I just don't consent to it, because as soon as you don't, you don't give your permission, it shoos them away really quickly. They can only keep advancing with their agenda because we are giving them permission. And that's what's happening. And by the way, Philip, I'm so sorry to hear about your brother and for you guys
thank you.
Show. Because we're seeing, you unfortunately had to see it play out, with your dear brother. Like this whole COVID nonsense. It's just, people have different takes on what it really is about, but there is, of course, the narrative that it's a bioweapon. How dare they treat us like this? How
Right.
dare they, come at us in this way, and then expect us to, they create the problem, then they garner the reaction, and then they pretend like they're saviors and come up with the solution. Well, I don't buy their solution. Their solution of, being a giant pincushion for the rest of the time, I'm not having
Right.
that. So, but I would say that so many of us are figuring this out now, and we are finding ways how to navigate through this. And it's, as much as it's still, I think, a little bit shocking as to what we find ourselves in 2022, the bright side is so many people have activated their supernatural powers. I'm just reading Andrea's comment here. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's exactly right, Andrea. Yeah, we don't take on people's bad energy. That's right. That's a perfect comment, because it shows you that you're in command of what you allow into your energy field or what you don't. Same as humans, some humans have good energy, some don't. And you pick up as a frequency. You can walk into a room and you're just like, straight away with someone. You don't have to even have,
Right.
You don't have to talk. You just know. So we all are using energy and frequency and vibration and a lot of the time and tuning into it. And I guess we're getting to that next step where we're trusting ourselves. If something doesn't feel right, you don't have to make excuses, and give people the benefit of the doubt. You just go, cool, move in a different direction. So I guess it's like that, but amplified, because these archons or these dark masters, as I say, they're pure evil intent to control the humans. And so it's really important that we don't keep feeding our energy via our fear and our panic and our hopelessness, because that's their food supply. But it's a paradox. How do you get in control of that when you know they're coming at you? So it's, we're advancing spiritually as a consciousness, as a collective consciousness. So it's amazing times in that respect.
It is, and I can see it. Yes, as long as I try to avoid it, and now we're on it. TikTok. I followed several people from Australia down there during all the stuff where they're trying to lock everybody down and all that. And I was happy to see people standing up. Because Mark and I mean, our other show was a preparedness show. It talks about the news. It talks about preparedness. It's just like, hey, we see what's coming. We see stuff. Get ready. Not trying to panic people. Mm-hmm. Not trying to bring doom and gloom. We're just trying to inform. And we look at the news and anything that can relate to what we have to talk about. We try to, okay, so we have food shortages. I don't know if you guys are experiencing the same thing down there, food shortages and all that good stuff.
They're threatening, yeah.
They're threatening. Is that what you said?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of threats around about it. Every so often they'll take a lot of products off the supermarket shelves and, give us a reason why there's not much to buy. So, we're seeing evidence of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all one and the same. If you ask me, it's all part of all this going on. What Frank talks about with Looking Glass, and and I think again we're all connected, and everything we're seeing is a symptom of the disease. whether it's purposely caused or, like the drought. I guess in some cases it could be debatable, because weather modification, things like that. I'm not 100% convinced that that's real. But, there's examples of it, cloud seeding, things like that. But, in some ways you can't control nature, like what's going on around here. We haven't had any rain. It's crazy hot. But I think it's all connected. And I think this, in a way, I can't help but think that they, overplayed their hand.
Oh, yeah.
And woke too many people up.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
and, when you look at the Guardian stuff, they talk about the Great Awakening that started in 2012. All this started in 2012.
Mhm.
And I just see more and more evidence of people waking up and being more aware of, the universe around them.
Absolutely. And so therefore it's all perfect. I totally concur with both of you. And, definitely they did overplay their hand, and you wondered, therefore, from a higher perspective, that was meant to be, because if we didn't really have a close look at the demon, really stare it in the eye, see what we were dealing with, well, we weren't going to activate, were we? We would have just plodded along and kept living in Groundhog Day for a lot of people. People seemed to be content with just the usual cycles in life and not really reaching for any higher awareness, or not really becoming self-actualized. So, of course, as soon as darkness comes in, it will create this deep urgency and this deep need within the individual to rise up out of it. Of course, some people get trapped by it. They don't feel that they're strong enough to be able to face it. But again, kudos to the collective consciousness, because you're seeing the rise in power. You're seeing people not just sitting on their hands and giving their sovereignty away any longer. We've had enough, and we can see, the looking glass technology is so incredible. People like Frank who can, use that to look into what future timelines may be coming for us. And what I find fascinating about that is that, of course, some of these future timelines are very, very destructive, but that doesn't mean, people need to realize that anyone bringing through that information, that doesn't mean that's going to play out. It's more of a red light, warning, warning, warning. If you don't step up now, if you don't activate your sovereignty, if you don't step into personal power, if you keep giving permission to these dark energies and these dark intentions, then those timelines could become very real. And so the timeline of the food shortage, which would of course lead to the zombie apocalypse, which I've seen a timeline where it leads to cannibalism because people start eating each other. We just get chaotic. Again, that's not said to make anyone fearful. It's more said to, hey, let's activate our supernatural powers. Let's step into avatar consciousness. If you've ever felt that you were Thor or someone like that, play with it like you did as a child. Play with it. Use your hammer. Use your Thor's hammer and just go, oh, I don't consent. Now bugger off. Really get fierce in your energy field, because enough's enough. And for me, guys, this is what's fascinating. Having come out of training healers and yoga teachers for 20 odd years and working as a psychologist and all that love and light stuff, which I still love. But I have become aware of that. There's so much, there's fake woke within that as well, which, is a term that's flying around a lot. Because if those sort of people who are only interested in the, just focus on love no matter what, they're also causing issues for us. They are causing a lot of issues because they won't face the dark side. They won't see the potentiality of where that dark side leads. And so they're trying to cajole everyone, just focus on love, just focus on love. You cannot just focus on love if you're not aware of the dark agenda. And, for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys, when you find out what's going on the planet to innocent children, it's like you will activate, you will step up.
Oh, yeah.
You will grow a set as a man. And you'll go, not having it, Yeah. And that's why these shows are so important, because it just keeps the narrative going. You have to keep speaking. You have to keep using the throat chakra. You have to keep, getting the information out there, because I feel at this time, I'd like your insights into this. I feel at this time a lot of people are going back to sleep because they've sort of pulled back a lot on the COVID narrative anyway. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's gone now. So we'll just go back to Groundhog Day. We'll just go back to sleep. We won't worry about it. We'll just go back to looking after our own. We won't worry about the other kids on the planet or what's going on with humans in other countries. So, yeah, what do you feel about that? Are you seeing that happen a bit?
I think to some extent, but I think there's also a group that has really started paying attention and has really become energized because of all this.
Awesome.
I feel like we're going to see something turn soon.
Yeah.
And that may just be me being positive too. I don't know, but that's what I feel.
Yeah, I kind of watch. I try to pay attention, and right now I'm kind of at a. Sorry, I'm scrolling too. I got somebody popped in and said hi, and I don't know who it is. But I really try to pay attention to what's going on. One, for the show, but I like to be informed. I've always told my kids, be informed. Know both sides of the argument. That way you can argue your viewpoint. I believe there's a lot of people that are willfully ignorant.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but it's the truth. There are people that are just ignorant to it. They're focused on their day-to-day lives, and that's okay. But I think people that see it, and turn a blind eye to it, they're making that choice. They don't want to deal with it because, and again, in a way, I guess I could understand it because life is full of stresses on its own without all this other extra added things.
Yeah.
But personally, I believe things like this, getting the word out about trafficking and preparedness, trying to get people to say, hey, at least take some steps to become a little self-sufficient. Start now. I believe that's more important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mark and I do 2 shows a week. Everybody that's watching knows. And sure, we spend some time in research and stuff, but I use those other days to live my life. So I feel this has become more important. And I've told Mark, and I told my wife and I were talking the other night. And I told Fred about it, or not Fred, Fred Scotty, by the way. How's it going, man? Sorry. But I told my wife the other night, we were talking, and it's just like, man, it just hit me right in the forehead. And it was almost like an epiphany. And it's kind of where I turned, and it was a pivot point for me. It really was. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Getting the word out. I have this platform for a reason, and I've said many times on the show, I don't believe in coincidence anymore. It's not just per chance I saw your comment and say, hey, that'd be cool to talk about. It wasn't that. It was like a punch in the gut. You need to call her, or you need to get a hold of her and see if she'll come on the show. There's a reason she needs to come on the show. So here we are, But, yeah. And again, I followed up a little bit with Frank today. I finished up one of the videos. He was on the Inspired channel about the latest with the Guardians and stuff. And it was a punch in the gut. He's like, get a hold of Frank and see if he'll come on. And within a matter of an hour, we were pretty well scheduled. So I think we're like I text you or messaged you. We're all in this together. We just have to pull together. And Mark and I are huge on community, and whether it's a worldwide community or a local community.
Mm-hmm. Good on you for trusting your gut, and that's all the energy side that we're talking about. We're all needing to operate at that level, trust it, act upon it. It's go time, and I'm going to circle back to what you said, Mark, about maybe it being too positive. And I feel like we need to be, as well as facing like the other, we need to be positive. And You know, a lot of people say when we're too positive, oh, you're on the hopium, you know, like you're predicting all these things that will happen. And it's almost like you can't win sometimes, no matter what. Like if you're on the hopium and you're predicting all the positive things, like people are like, yeah, show me the evidence of that. But then if you go too far the other way and you're like, yeah, well, the predictions for, like, you know, as I said, cannibalism, like, oh, don't tell us that, you know, like, it's like, well, which one do you want to hear? And I guess ultimately it comes down to everyone's got to find their own truth through this. And if it resonates as truth, it's truth. If it doesn't resonate, it's truth. It's not truth. You know, everyone must use their own GPS, their own radar system to get through this, because I guess too, there's a lot of disinformation or misinformation out there, so it can get a little bit confusing. But you know, what's good about you guys is you're open. You know, you don't say it's one way or the other. You're very open. You just want to have the discussion, and then people, you know, you leave it up to your audience to, you know, take on what resonates for them. So I think that's the best way through it. But you know, we need a little bit of hopium sometimes. I know I went through 2020 and listening to quite a few truthers who, to be fair, you know, a lot of their predictions did not come true, but it helped me in the moment to see that, okay, there's timelines that, you know, look good for humanity and we're going to come out of this. And I think if energy is all important, and it is what this discussion is about today, and if our collective group thought forms go in a certain direction, then we create the reality that we want for ourselves. So we have to be mindful of what the dark side's doing, but we have to keep building, you know, the love and the ascension and the compassion and kindness, you know, realities. We have to do that. That's part of what we're doing here. So, you know, we've all obviously signed up for a pretty big job on the planet, guys, I would say. You know, but
I would agree. I would agree, because to me, it's like just exploded.
Yeah.
You know, mentally, it hasn't exploded here yet. But mentally, it's just like I feel a huge sense of urgency, and I'm trying to do all I can to bring out the best information that I can.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. It's kind of strange, but it's weird because, you know, going back to what you were talking about earlier about reading people and all that. I'm exactly what you said. I can go in and I can pick people out. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that person. And I've been like that seemingly all my life. You know, whether it was the atmosphere I grew up in or not, you know, but it's like I can read people right now. Listen, and this isn't a good person. You know, maybe it's, you know, our energies or something aren't meshing or whatever. I mean, I'm still new to this whole energy thing. I really am. I'm kind of familiar with it, but I think I have a basic idea of it. You know, and I wish more people would pay attention to it, because I believe that everybody has that ability.
Absolutely, they do. And we talk about, you know, the dimensions of consciousness and what the mystics have been teaching us, as well as the indigenous cultures have been showing us for some time, is that where Mother Earth herself is upgrading into new frequency bandwidth or dimensional consciousness level, for want of a better word. So a lot of talk about the 5D consciousness, which, again, some people poo-poo that because they may not understand how the spheres of consciousness or dimensions of consciousness work. But if we see it as frequencies, we see it as vibration and energy. Of course, there's many people that are moving into ascension because of this activation that's going on, because the darkness is coming at us. So many people are activating. So that fifth dimensional frequency bandwidth is about the telepathy, is about the intuition, is about the psychic powers. So everything that you're referring to, Philip, you know, you're operating already what we would say within fifth dimensional consciousness. And many people are. It's a realm of unconditional love. It's a realm of compassion and non-judgment, and allowing people to make their mistakes, knowing that that's how they will learn, you know, rather than what we've been through in the last kind of patriarchal paradigm, is that this is the way, these are the rules, you must abide by this, and this is the formula for life. You know, we're moving out of that. Whilst that suited many people because they felt safe within it, so many people, particularly if you're sovereign, you don't want to be told what to do. You want to figure this out for yourself, and we must be allowed to figure it out for ourselves without having the government, which translates as mind control. We don't want to be controlled anymore. We don't want to be told what to think and how to act and how to be, and when to line up for the next round of whatever the medical tyranny is dishing out for us. We don't want any of that. We want to be free to find our own way through this hologram or this matrix. We often call it a matrix. There's the negative matrix that we're a part of, but there's a positive matrix, that we're moving into. So we must just keep up leveling and moving progressively into those new ways of operating. And of course, at the cellular or the DNA level, we're getting so much support to do that. The planet literally has moved into the photon band. We're getting a lot of solar flares at the moment. So all this photonic light, these gamma rays that are coming in actually help the individual to move or come online again with their deactivated strands of DNA. So once the DNA comes online, well, we're really supernatural at that point. We're moving back into these huge supernatural powers that we once had that got deactivated. So a lot of people are finding that they're talking to like their galactic brothers and sisters, same as what they would have when they were children. All the imaginary friends are coming back, which I find just so enchanting. It's like, well, if you look at children, why do they know all these things? Why is it innate and inherent in them to know to talk to star beings and these sorts of things? And at what point do we say that's your imagination and we knock that out of children? You'll grow out of it. But we're actually growing back into it. What we knew as children was actually the better way. So we're bringing back those innocent qualities where we know we've got support in other realms of consciousness, and we're allowing that support to come in to guide us at this time to move in, to upgrade, not planetarily just, but also personally into this new frequency bandwidth. So, of course, when that happens, things get dark for a while. Things seem to get work. The old sayings, the dark night before the dawn, and all of these concepts have to come into play, because ascension doesn't just fall in your lap. It's something that you've got to work at personally. It's not like you're just going to be handed it. You've got to show that you're a vibrational match to that unconditional love frequency, to that frequency of non-judgment and compassion and kindness. You've got to show the universe that you are that within your own energy field, and then you move into it. So, so many things are going on for us at this time, which are so beautiful and so positive. But the paradox is we're getting knocked for a six in order to get there, like every day it feels like we're climbing another spiritual mountain. There's so much seemingly to do within our personal internal transformation, but stepping up as well, in the public arena like you guys are, that takes some guts, that takes a lot of courage, particularly these sort of subject matters, so, everyone's just got to do what they can do, whether it's a podcast, speak to friends and family, or as I said, just declare it in your own lounge room, just declare that you're sovereign and that you break all the oaths and the contracts with these dark masters. You might have signed them once upon a time somewhere along your consciousness journey, but we're not doing that anymore. We're not going to play small. We're going to play, that I'm creator here. I'm part of co-creation with my brothers and sisters, and we're getting on with the job because we've had enough. Time to get new realms of consciousness.
Absolutely. A question. I can't help but wonder, because for the longest time, UFOs had such a stigma behind them that people were afraid to speak out about them. Mm-hmm. I can't help but wonder how many people are going through this spiritual change or journey, whether knowingly or unknowingly. I mean, especially if they know it, I wonder how many people are going through this and they feel like they're alone and they're not going to say anything because they don't want their friends and family to think they're crazy. Because from the outside looking in, to somebody that really doesn't look into this type of stuff, from the outside looking in, that's just nuts. There's no way that's happening. Because that, and going back to the childhood thing, because that's what they've been conditioned to believe. It's all make believe.
I think that's right. That's how my paranormal group got started. We all thought we were the only one in town who was interested in that sort of thing, and then lo and behold, we all got together and discovered, hey, there's people like me. Let's hang out.
Yeah.
So,
Love it. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, people who are caught in the Matrix, only got to look at the Matrix movies to know what that's about.
Yeah.
And it's so foreign to them, some of these concepts, and it scares them. I think maybe that's why the cognitive dissonance kicks in, because they're frightened. They're frightened that, okay, there are aliens and there are UFOs. I think you referred before, Philip, to Roswell, and there's evidence. If people want to go and do the research, it's not that hard to find that there's been aliens that have landed here, and the government certainly got all the secret files on it all. But a lot of it's been disclosed already. And one of the narratives at the moment is that they are gearing us up for a fake alien invasion, because when it comes to aliens, just like humans, so it's not difficult to understand, there's benevolent ones, kind ones who are here to help. But of course, there's the malevolent ones as well, ones who are here to, rob the planet of her resources and again, to siphon the human battery, the human energy, which, as said before, is just the highest technology. Of course, we're sought after. We're like golden royalty. We've forgotten that we are, because we've come into the third dimension with the soul amnesia. We were meant to, I see it from a higher perspective. We're meant to have this galactic game or this galactic story where we will ultimately activate our own hero's journey. So in any hero's journey, you looked at any great script or any great story, there'll always be a villain or an ultimate opponent to get you to activate. So to me, it's all perfect, even though I obviously, get frightened too about some of what's happening. But this fake alien invasion narrative is interesting, because they'll achieve what they want to achieve. They know enough people have galactivated, as I call it. So they need to almost get in front of it. So, there's aliens. Yeah, we agree there's aliens,
Right.
but they're negative aliens and they're here to attack the planet. That's absolutely not true. The negative aliens are already attacking the planet. It's already happening. We're already in it. The benevolent ones, who really won't cross the line when it comes to humans' free will, they will not cross the line. They won't take your power, but they will impulse your thoughts with positivity. The dark side is impulse the thoughts as well, but they're the ones that get you to question yourself and tell you that you're crazy and that you're making it all up and all these sorts of things. The positive ones will support you. They will always give you options of how you can move out of any destructive cycle. So I feel like we need to be open to our star brethren, because they want to help, but they can't help unless we open and we give them permission to support us here. And it's the same too, going back to astral travel. What happens in the astral planes is that you can get a lot of support from benevolent deities, star beings, and these kind of energies. But what I always questioned is, why aren't they just doing it for us anyway? And what I've come to find out, and this is what they call us boots on the ground. So the boots on the ground, or the ground crew, are the humans like us. The humans are the ones that have to change reality from within. The benevolent star beings, who may be in other dimensions of consciousness, and we have to see them more in light body form. We're in human form. We're in solid form of matter. We change reality from within. We can ourselves go into the fourth dimension, because that's the overlay dimension to the third dimension. So we can change it in the energetics there. But these light beings who are in other dimensions, they really can't assist unless the ground crew, or the boots on the ground, go into the fourth dimension and invoke them into that dimension. And that's when we can start to see magic happen. And this is the beauty of astral travel. This is how it works. And this is why more and more people going into the astral plane. And maybe I can change my language from astral plane to use your imagination. Same as we go back to what happened as we were kids. A lot of it was our imagination. And we were told that's just your imagination. So, when you said about, okay, well, they've conditioned us out of it. Yeah, they have. But we have to take charge and go, I'm not a freak, or even if I am, I've got good intentions, I've got a good heart. Like your paranormal group there, Mark, fantastic stuff. I love that. You find out, okay, maybe if I just get bold and speak up about it, there's so many more people that are on board and they're having their own paranormal experiences. It's amazing, and we can share stories and support each other to know that this actually is real. I would go as far as to say that the dimensions of energy, like the fourth dimension, is more real than this dimension of the 3D. We think it's so solid here in the 3D, but the truth is it's just vibrating atoms all converging together. We never get stuck, held, or trapped in any particular situation. The universe is always in flux, so it is all energy, even here in the 3D. So that's when we get clever. We go, okay, I'll change it in the energy in the 4D. It changes energy in the 3D. So the more people that use their imagination, a lot of people these days have heard about quantum science. It's exactly the same philosophy, exactly the same theory. So you go into the quantum realm, use your imagination. A lot of people use it for manifesting, even if you've got used to using it for manifesting wealth, it's a good start. It may not be the highest intention, but it's a good start to know how to use energy and to how to manifest in the quantum realms and then bring it into physical reality. And I think, a lot of people have been, good people too, have been using the quantum field awareness to get more money and to, all of these things, but it's only for personal gain. We've got to get out of that now. We've got to get into, we are here to work as a collective, as one team of light. We're here to support the planet with her ascension and our own personal ascension. Because at the end of the day, I would go as far as to say that money in the fifth dimension, probably not going to matter so much,
Right.
All our needs will be taken care of. Because they're only taxing us anyway here in the third dimension. They get us robotic, they get us making money, then they tax us like to the nth degree. And so why play that game anymore? If you're abundant, there's enough food, enough pure water, you got love. That's all. That sounds hippie,
Right.
but it's probably all we need. Get on with being creative. I think creativity is where we need to go next. Because we are creators. We're fractal consciousness of creation, of creator energy. So fun times
Absolutely.
ahead, but we've got work to do first.
Yeah, absolutely. How much time do you have?
Yeah, look, we've been on an hour, so
Yeah.
you guys go a bit longer if you want.
Okay. We usually shoot for about an hour and a half. If it goes over, that's fine. But I just didn't know how much time you had. I kind of
Yeah.
want to shift gears.
Yep.
Like we talked about, backstage, and Mark and I have been talking a few times about it. I think we are in more of a spiritual war than anything right now. And I want to share something with you. I shared it here a few episodes ago. I had a personal experience. I don't know if it was a dream. I don't know if it was reality. I couldn't tell you. It's been 17, 18 years ago. And I was a corrections officer. I was working in a prison. And one night I was asleep. And it was like the most beautiful place you'd ever seen. There's marble pillars and with like gold ivy. It was like a throne room. Just as beautiful as you can imagine, right? And then I hear this scream, like blood-curdling scream. And everything melted to black and slime and green, just nasty, as negative as you could imagine. And all of a sudden, it was like this huge weight was on my chest, and I couldn't breathe. And I was about to lose consciousness, I felt like. And I whispered the name Jesus. And this thing screamed again like it was in pain. But I realized that pressure was lifting. And I said it again, and it got lighter, and this thing screamed, and I noticed every time I would say it, this room would rebuild back to what it was going to. By the time I was said and done, this thing had all but vanished. It just, in a flash, it was gone. And I woke up, and it scared the living crap out of me. I even went and talked to the chaplain at work. I was like, what's going on here? Is this real? Is this, And I've been looking for answers since then. And Mark had a good idea, when we were talking about it. that it was something trying to possess me, but I wouldn't let it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What's your take on that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's, an attempt at possession. And again, not to frighten anyone, but this is going on more than people actually know. And by calling out Jesus's name, it's the perfect way as an antidote to that. They don't, Jesus for them is like highest frequency light being. That's just gonna send them running. And what's interesting, Philip, is that you are in your power to take command of it. A lot of people, for some reason, aren't. They just feel that whether they feel that they're not good enough, so that's all they deserve is to be, let these dark frequencies in. A lot of people just let themselves be taken over. And what's more interesting, though, is that anyone like us who speak out, we will be even more targeted. Okay, so whether that's from actual demons or whether that's from AI will target us, and we all know that because we're censored, right? So AI is their technology; it's demon technology. There's a good side to technology, as long as you're using the technology for the highest good for all. As long as you're aware of the agenda of that technology, even if you're using we use Facebook and YouTube, and hey, who knows? Well, we kind of know who's running the show there. We won't go into it too much, but we can be like a Trojan horse within their arena. We can come in and then take what they've created and say, thanks, we'll use your technology and we're going to use it and for the light. So there's a way to use technology where it's got a different frequency to it. But AI is a demon tech. If you're not aware of it, it's going to get data on you and it's going to create algorithms that it's going to do a feedback system telling you who you are, what to think, how to feel, what you should purchase. It's at you all the time. Like that's one of the ways that we're plugged in. So we've got to be discerning when we're using it. But definitely they impulse. They actually have a technology called voice to skull technology. And this is where they will impulse the thoughts. This is more of a 3D technology. The demons don't need technology. They come from the astral. They can impulse your thoughts anyway. They don't need AI per se. But there is a voice to skull technology. That's another AI type thing. That's a frequency thing. When you talk about the war on consciousness, that's what it's about. They are targeting good people, and particularly people that speak out through that voice to skull technology. And I had it happen to me, it's probably about a month ago now. I was in quite a low emotional state. I was going through something big emotionally. And I'd gone to stay out at my dad's place. He was away at the time. So I actually had the house to myself. And I feel what was going on is that whilst I was in this big emotional purge, I was also there in my old family home. All these memories from childhood were coming up. All like my pain body really got activated. And I think it was the perfect time for this. It felt like this voice to skull technology. I'd never had it happen before, but it literally felt like there was a ring around my head and there was impulsing coming in because I'm aware of energy and I can sense how it works. But it was so strong that I was like, I know they're not my thoughts. I know they're not my thoughts. They were really negative thoughts. They were telling me thoughts about a friend of mine. I was saying this friend was like, trying to take me down. I'm like, no, that doesn't logically even marry up. There's not any rhyme or reason to these thoughts. And so I entertained them for a while just to, curiously, okay, what's going on? Do I need to investigate this? And then I decided, I am literally being impulse. So I was like, piss off, like I'm just going to sit here. And I just went into a mantra of I am love, I am love, I am love, which is like you saying Jesus, you find your way to go, oi, bugger off out of my energy field. But this, normally if I feel demons around, and I can see them in my third eye anyway, I just tell them to bugger off. I don't have any problem getting fierce. Like I'll use the F-bomb and C-bomb, whatever other bomb. Get out. But this one was at me, and it felt like it was that next level technology. So I feel people need to be aware, particularly at this time, because the dark side has had, their pants pulled down. Like they're embarrassed at the moment. How many people have awakened on the planet? Like you guys said before, like they didn't know that this was going to create such a mass awakening. So they've come out from the shadows. They're embarrassed. Now they're just going to use whatever they got in their arsenal. Like, they're coming hard. So we just need to, need to be in battle mode. We need to duck and weave. Be aware of their technology. If you're having crazy thoughts, you think that's not my thought. It's not your thought. Tell it to move off. Call out for Jesus. Call out for whoever your ascended master is. Could be Mother Mary. Could be people have different avatar consciousness that they can plug into that's pure light and purely devotional and purely aligned with God's source energy. And, or just talk to God, just go straight to source, whatever you need to do. But, it's at us. I actually have, quite a lot of truther friends, working obviously on the Iconic platform, and then, other friends that are in the truther arena that they really do get targeted in the 3D as well. And it's full on, it's full on, but they're so fearless. They just get back up and they just keep charging forward, and, don't give you permission. Tell that entity to step back. What's that great saying? Get thee behind me, Satan. Like, just like call it out. Use your voice, because it creates frequency. Everything's frequency here. You've got to use your voice. You got to tell it where to go. Yeah, and you got to know that you're good enough, and that I think the other thing, particularly what I went through is like, they start getting at you that where you think, I'm full of shit, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, it's all that sort of thing. So as soon as that starts coming in, you've got to rise out of it and go, I am enough. I'm a beautiful soul. I've got beautiful intentions. I may not have all the answers, but doesn't matter. I'm here to serve the collective and, get back into high frequency within yourself.
That's part of the fun of it, though, is trying to find the answers.
Yeah.
You may not find the answer you want, but you find out so many different things, and it's amazing. It's been an amazing trip.
Yeah.
We call it the rabbit hole.
Yep.
Not to say just that. Yeah, the good old rabbit hole. Oh, man, you can go down them, hey. And then, I don't know about you guys, but I know I'm better now. I'm just probably tuning in more to my own, downloads. But through 2020 in particular, oh my God, I was just up all night going down all the rabbit holes, trying to get as much information as possible. Like, I don't think we slept, did we, in 2020? We're all just like, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and again, I think it's for a reason. You might be on the path of trying to find one answer, but you eventually come to an answer that you were looking for that you forgot about, or something else piques your interest to where, wait a minute, maybe I'm on this road. And it's amazing to watch it unfold. And as crazy as it may sound, I mean, I believe I'm in good company. When you experience that, it's like almost like an epiphany. Whether it be God trying to, giving you a download, or just luck, which I don't really believe in that anymore either. It's going to happen or it's not. So.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the synchronicity is always there, isn't it? So it's
absolutely.
Yeah. So whether you get it from the internet or whether you got it as a direct download, it's kind of, you were still led to it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I feel like I keep meeting people and that just have another piece of the puzzle. And it's like, oh, I need that.
Yep.
So it's every time I turn around, oh, there's a piece, there's a piece, there's a piece. This looks suspiciously like it is definitely not a coincidence.
Yeah, right. I love it.
Yeah.
And if we're all just one being ultimately, we're all unified, then it's all the pieces of the puzzle coming back together, isn't it, Mark? Like everyone has got a piece, and the coincidences work right. in a way to bend this all back together so we can all share the codes and information, and then so it is just purely magical times, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, it's really enchanting to be a part of what's going on. And I came across this concept of NPCs. I don't know whether you guys have heard of this. Probably you have, with the non-player characters. And they say it's like into a video game where there are actually entities on the planet who aren't ensouled, but we think that they are. We think that they're just like us, but they're actually not. So that's been an interesting rabbit hole in
It
itself.
is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It
that
is, and
is.
I'd like to look more into it. I mean, that'd be a fun show to even to go down.
I think I know some NPCs.
Yeah, I do too.
So how do they operate, Mark? I mean, when you say you know them, like I'm curious, like what are the signs for you that they are?
Well, I mean, usually they're intractable in whatever they have decided is their reality, or what they've been programmed is their reality.
Yeah.
And I just, there's people I meet is like, you're the stereotypical cookie cutter of everything that's wrong. And so, yeah, I really think that if they're not NPCs, then they're just all brainwashed into the same mode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? As you said, programmable, because that seems to be what it's about, that there's certain entities that have been so hijacked, and so now they really are, they're just being impulsed with whatever the dark side wants to feed them and program them with. Well, we actually found out in the astral in one of the groups that the way the AI works is that it will come in, and this is again goes back to the voice to skull technology. So once they've infiltrated into the mind, it allows portals to open within the physical body, also enhanced by, as we talked about, the inoculation and the towers, frequency towers that interact off that. So if you're chipped, it's even more difficult to get out of it. You can still do it. You still do the inner work and release it, but you may have to work a bit harder. But what we found out is that this AI eventually will hook in. It'll come in through the limbs first of all, then it'll feed up into the organs, and then eventually into the brain. So this is where we see Neuralink and these sorts of things, like Musk and all his technology, where they literally want to have the brain half AI and half organic. And it's like, it's just bizarre to even be having these conversations. Like, what?
That is
First of all,
frightening
who comes up with
many
this?
levels.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And they're implementing it. Yeah.
I don't know. I at first when I heard about it, I was like, I was trying to look at the benefits of it. I was like, that could be a really good thing for somebody that might be a paraplegic or something like that. I think it could be a great idea. But going back to what you were talking about with the AIs and the technology, it depends on how you're going to use it.
Exactly.
It will be abused.
It will.
Exactly.
I mean, he may not go in there with the intent. I mean, I don't assume to know him or, I mean, some stuff I heard today has me questioning a lot of people that I follow. But yeah, it's going to come down. I mean, somebody will use it for nefarious purposes. I mean, I don't believe that's human nature, but I believe this side that we're against, I believe that is their nature.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Agree. Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird times. It definitely is.
It's all about intention, isn't it? It's everything's intention, and then you find out that the ones were on so-called on the good side, and I have to say there's no us and them really, but we have to talk us and them in a 3D sense. Of course we do, even though we're creating it all and it's all ultimately going to get us where we want to go. But you find out that people who you thought were working for the light, turns out that they're plants as well, and it's like, you know.
That's kind of what I found out today. I'm like, oh,
right.
And
I've
it's
always
disappointing.
felt like that there's part of that in of both sides in everybody. So it's not that hard to believe that someone could be trying and still fail to do what they intend.
Yeah, it's such a good point, Mark. Because I think, like, you can easily become the monster that you're fighting. So when you may have started out with the most beautiful intentions, And then you might have got a little bit of notoriety, and then your ego might have, like got stroked, and then
Right?
you believe your own stuff, and then all it took was from someone on the dark side to tempt you a little bit, and you've turned. It happens so easily, or you become so angry at the dark side that, as I say, you become the monster that you're fighting. You're no longer this being that's focused on true alchemy into love and gold and all these sorts of things. You actually become really negative and really toxic, even though you started out with the highest of intentions. So, I guess when we look at it that way, we just have to really focus on our own personal path and make sure that, when the ego kicks in, or when we think we've got more answers than someone else, or where we're again tempted by money or power, that it's like, yeah, just check yourself there,
Yeah.
just check. Yeah.
Big Willie jumped on with us for a second. Man, we're doing great. Carrie's awesome. Having a really good conversation. You're gonna have to go back and check this out. He is an awesome guy, man. I love the heck out of Willie. He's a lot like us. I mean, just full of questions and search for answers, and we've met him through podcasting, and I consider him a really good friend.
Nice.
But that's what it's about. It's about the community, like I talked about earlier, and Mark and I talk about all the time. It's about building that community.
I feel like we're building a worldwide community now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking to people all over the world who think like us.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's the best thing
our
ever.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It really is.
There are people.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a blessing, isn't it? And it's like getting the band back together, boys.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I never met you before, but it seems like we've known each other forever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
magic.
see. Willie just threw a question up. Is true alchemy an oligarchy in regards to our souls, far as turning lead into gold? Just wondering what Carrie's thoughts are on that.
Oh, what a great question. Next level question there. Yeah, well, I don't know whether you were on before, Big Willie, but we were talking about the shift dimensionally from the third dimension up into, well, for many people, at least fifth dimensional consciousness, but maybe even higher. And that alchemical process in itself does turn the operating system, the technology that we're currently inhabiting as human beings with two strands of DNA functioning, when we move back to, and I say back because once we had it, we fell, there's ascension. We talk about ascension, but we have to also therefore look at descension. So we've descended through frequency bandwidths to the third dimension, all perfect, nothing wrong with us. We meant to do it. But we got genetically spliced, and the 12 strands of DNA got made into, or were made redundant, so we're operating out of 2 strands of DNA. So this alchemical process of moving back to 12 strands of DNA means the operating system moves from lead to gold. So you're exactly right with your terminology. And that's true alchemy, that's what it's about. The other way to say would be we're turning from carbon-based operating system into crystalline-based operating system. And many people say not just crystalline, but we're going into a diamond-based operating system. So these concepts are more from the higher dimensional frequencies and how we understand how we got made into form, and we got made into form through sound frequency, through geometry. These are all aspects of higher dimensional realities, and it comes down through the dimensions and creates this template of this human. But we're at a very low point in our descension journey, and we're moving out of it now because we've come to the end of the precession of equinoxes, the astrology wheel. We're moving as a planetary sphere, and as in our personal consciousness, we're moving into a different frequency bandwidth. So many people say that the blood plasma as well will move into light plasma. However, this time it's said instead of moving back to a light body form, we're going to be in a 5th dimensional frequency bandwidth whilst inhabiting the physical form. So these are the teachings of Dolores Cannon, which I find so amazing. She did thousands of past life regressions, and so many of her clients, like too many for it to be, here's the word coincidence again, too many for it to be a coincidence, came out with exactly the same intel, that we would maintain our physical form but be in a fifth dimensional frequency bandwidth. So we're in the realm of unconditional love, but having physical form, so we can still eat, we can still make love, we can still swim, feel things, still have emotions. So, it's a pretty wild ride that we're on, if this is true, because they say it's the first time in the galactic history this has been done. And I think that's why we're being so targeted at the moment, why there's just so much demon impulse coming at us, because they certainly don't want us moving into that frequency bandwidth. They just they want to keep feeding off us. So it's not only be powerful and super powerful, but we're going even more powerful. Like upgrades are next level.
Yeah, and again, I think it falls back to control. It's all about control.
Yeah,
absolutely.
More than anything.
I'm just reading Billy's comment here about the reptilian brain. He's got the best comments. Yeah, really, really another great point. And we were sort of going back to the Matrix movies. So they depict the reptilian brain, they plug it into, when you unplug from the Matrix, they unplug you there from the amygdala. So the amygdala is in generic terminology, they call it the reptilian brain. So we all have a reptilian brain. So when you unplug the reptilian brain, of course your operating system naturally just increases. And that's why they show it in the Matrix. When they want to go back into the Matrix, they plug back in again into the amygdala or the reptilian brain. So they're showing us the codes all the time. Anyone can look up science about the reptilian brain. You can Google it right now to know what I'm talking about. So the fact that people have cognitive dissonance and believe that reptilians don't exist, well, they absolutely do. It's in our language, it's in our science, it's in medicine. It's absolutely there. And we are upgrading that reptilian brain. That part of the operating system will become defunct. It has to. Like that dog-eat-dog world, might is right, survival of the fittest, all of that old world paradigm, we're shifting out of it because we've done that now, and it's not pretty. It's not fun. It's very destructive. And, it's time that we upgraded from that. So, yeah, really, really, really good points there from Big Willie.
Pam said it's great to know we're not the only nerds out there. It is. It's nice. then Chris, nerd unite.
There's a story behind that. Pam is one of my paranormal, and when we get together for our meetings, we call it the nerd herd. So
I might have just joined the nerd herd then. I like it.
You're more than welcome. This has been fun and informative. I mean, I could go on and on. I really could. I mean, I've got so many questions. It's crazy.
I'd love to have you back on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's been lovely being with you both. Thank you.
We do appreciate you coming on, Carrie. Where can people find you if they want to see more about your work? Talk a little bit about the Iconic and things like that.
Yeah, so the Iconic, it's iconic.com. That's David Icke, as we mentioned, and his sons, and then amazing truthers are on there, as well as there's a lot to do with consciousness. It's probably the UK's version of, you guys have got Gaia in the US, so it's kind of like the UK's version of that. So iconic.com. I feel that Iconic are a little bit ahead of Gaia, even though Gaia is a much bigger platform. But Iconic are great because they do, probably like what you guys do with your other show, they do news stories. So they stay up to date with the current news, but from the alternative side of things. So that's awesome. There are many news anchor shows. But if you want to do journeys with me, then you can go over there. My second series has just come out. It's part philosophy, but part direct activations. We actually, in my new series, the episodes will be coming out each week now, but one of the episodes does take you into the astral, so that's really fascinating because that was the theme of today's show. If you wanted to, get into that. I've also got an astral travel masterclass, which if you want me to, guys, I can leave maybe a link afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
if anyone
I am
wants
so
to do
interested.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's
Shoot it to me on Messenger, and I'll put it in the show notes.
okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that's awesome. And you can learn to astral travel, how it works, why it works, and get in the game yourself, which I feel is so pertinent at this time. That people
Yeah.
start to work in the energy or quantum realms, maybe a better term for it. So
I, re-
yeah,
I really want to learn, but I'm kind of nervous, because you hear people, well, if you don't make it back to your body and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know
yeah,
the dangers behind it, or if there is
sure,
any. I mean, anything like
yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, in the masterclass I teach you how to shield yourself. So you get all the rituals and all the tools in order to make sure that you're protected, and then what to do in those realms as well. So, but yeah, it's a really good point that you make, because look, I think for anyone, even just learning how to meditate can make you feel a little bit spacey. I might love to listen to Carrie read me names from a phone. Oh, great voice and accent. Yeah.
I've got
Well,
it.
we love your accent. Goes both ways. But yeah, and then my other main trade is teaching people to be yoga teachers and healers, but it was probably a bit more specific. So I think maybe for today's show, the astral stuff's more, the masterclass more interesting, and the iconic series more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife posted. She said, "I'm going to check it out." Like I said about massage therapy school is what you meant to say. We were doing an energy exercise, and I felt like I was floating upside down. I couldn't get upright.
Yeah. Oh, Andrew, it's so real, isn't it? And as I used to do massage as well, and even through massage, you pick up so much energetically about that person, as I'm sure your beautiful wife does. It's just energy is so powerful. It's more real than the physical. And once we get that switch and we go, okay, then you can start really changing reality here. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, Willie says it is an interesting thing for sure. Going in could be like chumming the water for sharks, right? As far as just trying to astral project and reach out to entities without knowing who's picking up.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's it. Once you get the tools, you know how to shield and protect yourself. It's game on.
Yeah,
It's game
I'm
on. They
I'm
don't
game.
perceive. Yeah, once you got like an invisibility suit on, they don't perceive you in the astral.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I've tried manifesting, and about as far as I can get is a parking spot. That's about as far as I can get.
good place to start. That's a good place to
Yeah,
start. Yeah,
because my problem when I go to meditate, I fall asleep. I get so
right.
relaxed, I fall asleep.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
can ask my wife, I can fall asleep like if I close my eyes right now in about a couple seconds, I'd be out. So
right. What about sitting up, Philip? Do you sleep sitting
I'm
up? Can
sorry.
we get
Oh,
can we
it
get
doesn't matter.
meditate? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
My,
That's a
my
trait learned from the military. So
yeah. Well,
I've slept in a 3 foot cube box before. So
oh, bless your heart, because you're working so hard for everyone. You need that. My grandfather used to sleep with he used to be the big newspaper, so he'd hold the big newspaper up. Somehow his arms continued to hold the newspaper up, but he was asleep behind it. Oh, that was a skill.
yeah, definitely.
It'd be you, right?
But yeah, Carrie,
Yeah.
if you would please send me that link. I'll throw it in the show notes. I'll share it on Facebook.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
Man, it has been great having you. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I've learned a lot. And I do. I want to. I want to go down this road. I want to try it out and see how it
I
goes.
do too.
So, I
'Cause
think it would be interesting because I've said for a long time we are spiritual beings. There's more to this. It's just knowing how to get there. And I think that's why you're here is to kind of you're the teacher. I think, and just my gut telling me that. I mean, I may not be wrong, maybe or I may be wrong, but I feel that's why I got smacked in the face like I did. And but no, I truly appreciate you jumping on with us. If you would please, when the show is finished, if you could hang out for just a second, I
Yeah.
want to chat with you off of this. Um, but anyway, folks, Mark, you good?
I'm good.
All right.
This has been
Well,
some
folks,
of the
I
most
hope
fun
you.
I've had in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a great show.
Well,
Folks.
thank you both as well for everything you're doing. It's
Oh,
really
absolutely.
hats off to you. Yeah, it's important work you're doing. So,
I
yeah,
love it, man. It's what I want to do, if that makes sense.
good on you.
It'd be
It takes
great.
courage. So, yeah, kudos.
But anyway, folks, thank you again for joining us. It's been a great show. Do us a favor, go over to What If Tomorrow podcast group over on Facebook, and follow us over there. It's been a great conversation going on with tonight on the chat group. Mark and I love doing the lives. It's been so much fun. I wish we would have done it sooner, but it's so much fun interacting with you guys. Go to YouTube, What If Tomorrow Media. Join over there, or the Facebook group. I mean, that's where we're going live at right now. We do have some things still in the work with the whole the Odd House Network thing. Hashing out details there. And Willie, take it easy, brother. But yeah, definitely, guys. Carrie, I want to tell you in front of everybody, you have an open invite. Anytime you come up with something new or you have something that you need to share, you reach out. We'll make room for you. I don't have an issue with that.
Bless you. Thank you.
So, I mean, like text back and forth. I mean, we're all in this together. I mean, we just will help each other through it. So, folks, with that being said, thanks again so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode.
Good night.